President Obama's final minutes in his farewell address revolve around a powerful reaffirmation of hope, civic responsibility, and the enduring potential of the American people. When he speaks about change coming from ordinary citizens, he is not offering a simple motivational line. He is summarizing the very philosophy that shaped his rise from community organizer to president. His message is grounded in the belief that democracy is not a spectator sport. It demands the effort, participation, and moral courage of everyday people who are willing to stand up for what is right, even when it is difficult. By highlighting this, Obama reminds the audience that progress is not initiated solely by leaders in high offices, but by the collective actions and voices of millions who choose unity over division, compassion over hatred, and engagement over apathy. He emphasizes that his own achievements were never the result of individual brilliance, but the result of a nation's willingness to believe in a shared purpose and work toward it together. In these moments, Obama reflects on how change has always taken root in America, from civil rights movements to expansions in education and economic opportunity, through ordinary citizens stepping forward. He stresses that hope has power only when people act upon it. His presidency, he suggests, was shaped not by his own speeches or policies alone, but by teachers helping students overcome barriers, by activists pushing for equality, by families raising their voices for justice, and by young people who refused to accept the world as it is and insisted on pushing it closer to what it could be. This idea that Americans themselves are the true source of change forms the heart of his message. He calls on the audience to reflect on their role in shaping democracy, insisting that the nation's future depends not on who holds office but on the engagement and integrity of its citizens. Obama also issues a clear warning: democracy is fragile. It does not sustain itself automatically. If people stop participating, stop caring, or become consumed by cynicism, the system weakens. He highlights the dangers of indifference, explaining that when citizens withdraw from public life, they leave space for intolerance, misinformation, and fear to grow unchecked. Hope, in his view, is not naive optimism. It is a disciplined commitment to fight for what is right even when the outcome is uncertain. He urges Americans not to let frustration or political division break their connection to one another. Instead, he calls for renewed involvement, deeper empathy, and a willingness to engage with people who think differently. The strength of the country, he argues, lies in this dialogue, in the ability of its people to disagree passionately while still recognizing their shared humanity and common purpose. During this reflection, Obama underscores how dangerous it is when people retreat into echo chambers. He challenges Americans to step outside their comfort zones and confront perspectives that differ from their own. By doing so, he believes the nation can heal divisions and maintain a vibrant democracy where ideas compete. Compromise is possible, and the truth matters. This message is rooted in the belief that unity is not about everyone thinking the same way. It is about respecting the dignity of others and understanding that progress depends on cooperation. Without this willingness to engage, he warns, even the most successful democracy can falter. At the emotional core of this key point is Obama's personal belief in the American spirit. He expresses unwavering faith in the ingenuity, resilience, and compassion of the American people, qualities he witnessed repeatedly throughout his presidency. Whether in moments of tragedy or triumph, he saw communities come together to support one another, to rebuild, to advocate, and to envision a better future. These experiences reinforced his conviction that the American people are capable of extraordinary acts of kindness and courage when they recognize the stakes and choose to act. Obama uses this moment to encourage Americans not to measure progress solely through political wins or losses, but through everyday acts of participation. Volunteering, mentoring, organizing community efforts, supporting local causes, engaging in respectful civic debate. These are the mechanisms through which real change forms and grows. He urges citizens to see themselves as active agents rather than passive observers, reminding them that citizenship is not defined by nationality alone, but by actions that strengthen the fabric of society. Ultimately, this key point encapsulates the enduring message of Obama's political life, that hope is justified when people work for it. The phrase, "Yes, we can," becomes more than a campaign slogan. It becomes a call to action, a reminder that America's progress has always been driven by collective effort. Obama leaves his audience with a sense of responsibility and empowerment, urging them to continue the work of building a more inclusive, just, and united nation. By placing the future in the hands of ordinary Americans, he reinforces his belief that together they possess the capacity to overcome challenges and create meaningful, lasting change. In the second major theme of Obama's final minutes, he turns his focus toward the enduring values that define the United States: equality, opportunity, freedom, and justice, and stresses how essential it is for Americans to protect these principles. His message is not delivered as a routine political statement, but as a sincere reminder that the American story has always been anchored in shared ideals that must be safeguarded by every generation. He reflects on how these values have shaped the nation's identity and driven its progress, from struggles for civil rights to fights for economic fairness, and from movements against discrimination to collective efforts to expand opportunity for all. Obama underscores that these values are not abstract. They guide how people treat one another, how they respond to injustice, and how they work together to build a society based on dignity and respect. He draws attention to the reality that America's ideals have never been perfectly fulfilled. The nation has experienced inequality, prejudice, and conflict from its earliest days. But the promise of the United States has always been rooted in the commitment to strive toward a more perfect union. In these final minutes, Obama reminds his audience that this process of striving is ongoing, and it relies on the willingness of citizens to continue the work. He emphasizes that when Americans adhere to their core values, they create a nation that is stronger, more united, and more capable of meeting challenges. But when fear, suspicion, or division take hold, the nation moves backward, losing sight of the principles that once guided it forward. By tying this historical perspective to the present moment, Obama warns that the future depends on the choices people make now, whether they choose to stand for equality or allow discrimination to go unchecked, whether they choose cooperation over polarization. A significant element of his message is the idea that American values must be upheld not only in times of ease, but also in moments of uncertainty and tension. It is easy to believe in equality when everything is peaceful. The real test comes during conflict or crisis. Obama challenges Americans to remain true to their ideals even when it is inconvenient or uncomfortable. For example, he highlights the need to reject discrimination in all forms, whether based on race, religion, gender, orientation, or background. He makes it clear that the strength of the nation lies in its diversity and the ability of people with different identities and experiences to live together, contribute together, and fight for justice together. To abandon these values would be to weaken the very foundation of American democracy. Another layer of his message focuses on the importance of opportunity. Obama stresses that a healthy society ensures that every person, regardless of where they start in life, has the chance to succeed. This includes access to education, fair economic conditions, equal treatment under the law, and the freedom to pursue one's aspirations. He has often spoken about the idea that talent is universal, but opportunity is not, and in this moment, he reiterates that creating opportunity is a collective responsibility. If large groups of people feel trapped or excluded, democracy suffers. If the wealthy or powerful are seen as the only beneficiaries, trust erodes and division grows. Obama's belief is that giving every individual the tools they need to thrive not only strengthens the economy, but strengthens the moral character of the nation. He also touches on the role of justice as a guiding principle. Justice is not merely the enforcement of laws, but the assurance that those laws reflect fairness, compassion, and respect for human dignity. Obama emphasizes that citizens must be vigilant in protecting the rights of others, not just their own. This means speaking up against wrongdoing, supporting those who face discrimination, and challenging systems that perpetuate inequality. Justice requires participation, attention, and courage. It requires recognizing that the freedoms enjoyed today were won through struggle and sacrifice, and that the responsibility now lies with current generations to defend those freedoms for others. Central to this key point is the understanding that values must be actively lived out, not simply acknowledged. Obama encourages Americans to embody these principles in their daily actions, how they speak to one another, how they resolve disagreements, how they treat people who are different from them. He warns that values fade not when they are forcibly taken away, but when people stop living by them, allowing fear or anger to override empathy and respect. Democracy, he says, is strengthened by kindness, cooperation, and the courage to do what is right even when no one is watching. These small acts, multiplied across millions of people, shape the culture and future of the country. Ultimately, Obama's focus on American values in his farewell address is a call to moral responsibility. He urges the nation to remember that progress is not inevitable. It must be earned and protected. The ideals of equality, justice, and opportunity are fragile if not defended. By reminding Americans of their shared values, he seeks to inspire unity in a time of division and reassure the nation that its greatest strength has always been its commitment to a common set of principles. Through this message, he leaves behind a timeless reminder that what binds Americans together is far greater than what divides them, and that keeping these values alive is the duty of every citizen who believes in the promise of the United States. In his farewell address, President Obama places significant emphasis on the concept of active citizenship, highlighting the critical role that each individual plays in maintaining and strengthening a democracy. He stresses that citizenship is not a passive identity, but an ongoing commitment that requires engagement, responsibility, and action. This idea is central to his final message because it reinforces the notion that the strength and resilience of the United States depend on the active participation of its citizens. He repeatedly reminds the audience that democracy cannot thrive on the efforts of elected officials alone. It requires millions of ordinary people to take initiative in their communities, advocate for justice, and contribute to the collective good. By framing citizenship as a set of responsibilities rather than merely a set of rights, Obama calls on Americans to embrace the duties that come with living in a democratic society. Throughout his address, Obama underscores that civic engagement manifests in many forms, ranging from voting and participating in elections to volunteering, mentoring, and organizing local initiatives. He stresses that these activities, though they may seem small individually, have profound cumulative effects on society. Each act of engagement, whether attending a town hall, helping a neighbor, or speaking out against injustice, contributes to the health of the democratic system. Obama is keen to remind citizens that democracy is not sustained automatically. It requires conscious, deliberate effort. Without the active participation of the public, institutions weaken, and the ideals of freedom, equality, and justice risk being compromised. His words serve as both a celebration of civic duty and a warning that indifference and disengagement can threaten the very foundations of governance. A central theme in this part of his speech is the importance of moving beyond passive engagement, such as merely consuming news or expressing opinions online. Obama challenges Americans to translate awareness into action. He emphasizes that social media commentary or political chatter is insufficient if it does not translate into concrete efforts that shape communities and influence policy. By encouraging tangible involvement, he reinforces the principle that meaningful change arises when citizens take ownership of their society and work to improve it directly. He often illustrates this point by recalling moments during his presidency when communities mobilized to address issues ranging from education and healthcare to environmental protection and civil rights, demonstrating the transformative power of collective action. Obama also highlights the need for citizens to engage in dialogue and debate, especially with those whose perspectives differ from their own. He argues that democracy is strengthened when people are willing to listen, learn, and compromise, even amid disagreements. He warns against retreating into ideological echo chambers, where only familiar viewpoints are reinforced and differing opinions are dismissed. Such divisions, he explains, weaken the social fabric and erode trust in institutions. Instead, he urges Americans to seek understanding, to confront uncomfortable truths, and to recognize the humanity in others. By emphasizing communication, empathy, and mutual respect, Obama presents citizenship not only as a legal status or set of actions, but as a moral and social responsibility that binds the nation together. Another dimension of Obama's discussion of citizenship is the concept of accountability. He stresses that citizens must hold themselves and their leaders responsible for upholding democratic norms and ethical standards. This accountability ensures that government reflects the people's values and remains responsive to the needs of the public. He encourages Americans to scrutinize policies, advocate for transparency, and demand fairness in the implementation of laws. By embedding accountability into civic life, he reinforces the principle that democracy thrives when the populace is vigilant and actively engaged in shaping public decisions. This notion links directly to his broader argument that ordinary citizens are the ultimate guardians of freedom and justice. Additionally, Obama stresses the importance of long-term commitment. Citizenship, he notes, is not defined by single acts of participation or moments of crisis. It is a continuous, lifelong practice. Each generation inherits both the benefits and responsibilities of democracy, and each must contribute to its preservation and improvement. He emphasizes that meaningful engagement often requires patience, persistence, and resilience, particularly in the face of setbacks or slow progress. By framing citizenship as a sustained effort, he instills a sense of duty that transcends political affiliation or immediate personal gain, focusing instead on the enduring health and success of the nation. In closing, Obama's message about citizenship reinforces the central idea that the future of democracy is inseparable from the active involvement of its people. He calls on Americans to embrace their roles as participants, advocates, and defenders of democratic principles. By doing so, citizens ensure that the nation continues to grow, evolve, and remain true to its founding ideals. Obama leaves the audience with a powerful reminder that democracy is not merely a system of government but a shared responsibility, and that each individual has the capacity and the obligation to contribute to its vitality. Through active citizenship, Americans can confront challenges, protect freedoms, and build a society that reflects the best of its values, ensuring that hope, justice, and equality endure for generations to come. In his farewell address, President Obama dedicates a deeply personal segment to expressing gratitude to the people closest to him, emphasizing that leadership is never a solitary endeavor and that the accomplishments of any individual, no matter how prominent, are built on the support, sacrifices, and collaboration of others. He begins with a heartfelt acknowledgement of his wife, Michelle Obama, recognizing her unwavering support, strength, and guidance throughout the intense demands of public life. The presidency, he notes, is an extraordinary privilege, but it is also a role fraught with scrutiny, responsibility, and long hours away from family. Michel's presence provided not only personal grounding, but also a moral compass, ensuring that their family maintained stability, warmth, and purpose amidst the pressures of the office. Ubama stresses that her contributions extended far beyond the personal. She actively championed initiatives that improved the lives of millions, from promoting education to supporting military families, demonstrating the profound impact a dedicated partner can have both in the public eye and behind the scenes. He then turns to his daughters, acknowledging the unique challenges they faced growing up in the public eye. He speaks to the lessons of resilience, curiosity, and moral strength he hopes they carry forward, recognizing that the family unit itself reflects broader themes of growth, responsibility, and the passing of values from one generation to the next. By expressing gratitude toward his children, Ubama underscores the human side of leadership, reminding the nation that behind every political figure is a network of personal relationships that provide love, guidance, and stability. The experiences of his family, he implies, are emblematic of the shared sacrifices that countless families make when engaging in public service, emphasizing that progress and governance are never the product of an individual alone, but of interconnected lives working toward a common good. Vice President Joe Biden receives a significant mention, highlighting the importance of trust, loyalty, and collaboration in leadership. Ubama describes their relationship as one built on mutual respect and shared commitment to public service. He credits Biden's steady counsel and principled approach to governance as essential elements that strengthened his presidency and enabled him to tackle some of the nation's most complex challenges. By acknowledging Biden, Ubama communicates that successful leadership relies on the support of colleagues who provide wisdom, alternative perspectives, and unwavering partnership. This recognition reinforces the broader message that progress and decision-making in public life are collaborative efforts, dependent on relationships forged through trust and shared dedication to ideals greater than personal ambition. Throughout this portion of his speech, Ubama subtly conveys the idea that leadership is intertwined with humility. By openly expressing gratitude, he models a principle that is often overlooked in political discourse: the acknowledgement that no leader operates in isolation. Success, he reminds the audience, is rarely a solitary journey. It is built upon the encouragement, sacrifices, and efforts of family, mentors, advisors, and countless ordinary citizens. Gratitude, in this context, becomes both a personal reflection and a public lesson, illustrating the interconnectedness of achievement, responsibility, and community. Ubama's message encourages listeners to recognize and honor those who contribute to their own journeys, reinforcing the value of empathy, respect, and acknowledgement in both private and public life. Furthermore, Ubama's acknowledgments serve as a metaphor for the broader theme of civic collaboration. Just as his personal achievements were supported by a network of relationships, so too is societal progress dependent on collective effort. He draws an implicit parallel between the intimate networks of family and friends and the larger networks of citizens, organizations, and institutions that sustain democracy. By connecting personal gratitude to public responsibility, he reinforces the idea that every individual has a role to play, whether through family, community, or civic engagement, in shaping a stronger, more inclusive society. This section of the speech is also deeply emotional, allowing the audience to see the human side of a figure often viewed through the lens of political accomplishments. By sharing his appreciation for those closest to him, Ubama cultivates empathy and connection, illustrating that leadership is not only about policy, speeches, or decisions, but about relationships, support systems, and the shared humanity that underpins every public endeavor. He models vulnerability, demonstrating that expressing gratitude is a form of strength, a recognition of dependence on others, and a celebration of collaboration. Ultimately, this key point conveys that no leader, and by extension, no citizen, can achieve meaningful change alone. Obama's acknowledgement of his wife, daughters, and Vice President Joe Biden serves as a broader lesson about the importance of relationships, mentorship, and collective effort in all aspects of life. He emphasizes that gratitude is not merely a personal sentiment, but a guiding principle that strengthens communities, sustains democracy, and encourages others to act with generosity and humility. By highlighting the centrality of support, collaboration, and appreciation, Obama reinforces a vital truth of both public service and civic life. Enduring accomplishments are built not only on vision and determination, but also on the shared efforts, sacrifices, and unwavering commitment of those who stand alongside us. This reflection on gratitude thus becomes a profound reminder that leadership, progress, and success are inherently communal, anchored in the recognition of others' contributions and the willingness to acknowledge and honor them. In the final key point of his farewell address, President Obama closes with the iconic phrase, "Yes, we can," which resonates as both a reflection on his presidency and a call to action for the future. This phrase, which became the defining slogan of his political campaigns, is more than a motivational chant. It embodies a philosophy of collective effort, hope, and resilience. In these closing moments, Obama reaffirms that the power to shape the nation does not lie solely with elected leaders, but with ordinary Americans who engage, act, and persist in the pursuit of progress. By returning to this phrase, he creates a bridge between the achievements of the past and the responsibilities of the future, reminding citizens that their participation is essential to sustaining the ideals of democracy. Obama emphasizes that "yes, we can" is a statement about possibility grounded in action. It is not passive optimism or naive idealism, but a recognition that real change requires effort, courage, and persistence. Throughout his presidency, he faced entrenched challenges, from economic crises to social inequalities, that required both leadership and the engagement of the public to overcome. By invoking this phrase in his farewell, he underscores the lesson that the power of ordinary people to shape history is enduring. Change occurs when individuals work together toward shared goals, when communities organize, and when citizens refuse to be discouraged by setbacks or cynicism. This enduring message links his time in office to the ongoing work of democracy, reminding Americans that the capacity for progress is always within reach if they remain committed to collective action. The phrase also serves as a moral anchor, reflecting the belief that hope is justified only when coupled with responsibility. Obama's use of "yes, we can" is a reminder that Americans must actively participate in their democracy to ensure that ideals such as equality, justice, and opportunity are realized. It is a call to citizens to challenge injustice, to advocate for fairness, and to extend empathy and understanding to those who may be marginalized or voiceless. The phrase embodies the idea that progress is never guaranteed. It is something that must be fought for, nurtured, and defended across generations. By repeating it in his final address, Obama elevates it from campaign rhetoric to a timeless principle of civic engagement, one that invites each individual to see themselves as a contributor to the nation's future. In addition, "Yes, we can" functions as a unifying message. Obama is acutely aware of the divisions within society and the polarized political environment that often undermines collective progress. By invoking this slogan, he calls Americans to transcend partisan differences and work toward shared objectives that benefit the nation as a whole. The phrase implies that collective action is possible even in the face of disagreement and conflict, emphasizing the idea that unity does not require uniformity, but requires a commitment to the common good. This vision of civic cooperation is central to his farewell address, as it underscores that the health of democracy relies on the ability of citizens to come together, respect differing perspectives, and take meaningful action for the collective benefit. Furthermore, the repetition of "yes, we can" is both a motivational and reflective tool. It encourages Americans to recall the tangible accomplishments achieved during his presidency, such as economic recovery, healthcare reform, and progress on civil rights, while simultaneously inspiring future generations to continue striving for a more just and equitable society. By tying these accomplishments to the enduring phrase, Obama conveys that the work of building a better nation is never complete. Each generation inherits both the successes and the unfinished work of those who came before. The phrase becomes a reminder that history is not static, but is continuously shaped by the choices, actions, and values of those living in the present. Obama also uses this moment to affirm the optimism and resilience that have characterized his political philosophy. "Yes, we can" embodies the belief that obstacles, no matter how formidable, can be overcome when people unite, act with purpose, and remain committed to their shared ideals. It reflects his faith in the capacity of citizens to rise above fear, prejudice, and apathy, demonstrating that progress is possible even in challenging circumstances. By closing with this message, he leaves the audience with a sense of empowerment, urging individuals to see themselves as active participants in shaping the nation's destiny rather than passive observers of events. Ultimately, the repetition of "yes, we can" in the final minutes of his farewell address serves as both a summation and a challenge. It encapsulates the themes of hope, engagement, moral responsibility, and unity that permeate his speech. It reminds Americans that democracy is a living project that requires persistent effort, courage, and collaboration. By invoking this phrase, Obama leaves a lasting impression that progress is attainable, but requires the collective will of the people. It is an enduring call to action, encouraging citizens to believe in their power, embrace their responsibilities, and continue working toward a nation that lives up to its highest ideals. Through this simple yet profound phrase, Obama connects his legacy to the ongoing journey of the country, instilling hope, responsibility, and determination in all who hear it.